You're listening to the Deep Purple Podcast, a fan podcast about one of the most legendary bands of all time, Deep Purple. We take a look at the music, history, and people behind the band Deep Purple and beyond. Welcome to the Deep Purple Podcast, the first and only podcast devoted to one of the greatest bands in rock history, Deep Purple. Today's episode is episode number 160, the Mother's Day Special. And coming to you from the snowy suburbs of Chicago, I'm your host, Nathan Beaudry.
And coming to you from the suburbs of Providence, I'm your co-host, John Yo Mama Matola.
There you go. No explanation needed.
Yep, because this is the Mother's Day special, and I used to love Yo Mama jokes.
Your mom. There you go. Never.
Right? I
Really...
mean, those are like, I feel like those are a thing of the past. Like, you know, if you used to get hooked into like a few of those good ones, you just like go back and forth with like whoever you were with, just trying to like come up with the funniest ones.
Yeah, my boys do that with each other. They
Yeah.
do your mother jokes to each other.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. Great for a great thing for brothers to do. They'll do it in front of Jen. They don't care at all.
What are some of your favorites? Do you remember any?
Oh man, now I'm drawing a complete blank.
I have a couple.
I'm trying to think of some of the ones that they've said recently, but why don't you go ahead?
So and these are the few that stick out from like years ago. Is your mom is so fat that I swerved to avoid her in the road and ran out of gas.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Your mom is so fat that she put her lipstick on with a paint roller. Which I don't know why. She's heavy in body weight, so why would her lips be so big?
I mean, that's like your mother's a colossal giant. She's 90 feet tall.
Exactly. That's more like your mom is so tall, or your mom is like Paul Bunyan or something. But I think one of my favorite ones, which I thought was ridiculous, was just like, your mom is so fat, her email address is whalewatcher@elevatorhazard.com.
That is not from our from our youth.
No, that was one of the early like internet jokes, like to give her an email address. So that one's still pretty old at this point. But there was one more. Your mom is so stupid that I told her we had she thought we had cable because I put a calculator on top of the TV or something like that. I might have missed it up.
Yeah, this is a great way to honor mothers on Mother's Day.
Just let me tell some insulting fat jokes about your mama.
Yeah, this is a good one. Is your mom is so your mother's so poor, the ducks throw bread at her. Yeah, there's like, your mom is so poor, your mom is so ugly, your mom is so stupid, and your mom is so fat. I guess like the main categories.
Yeah, that sounds like there'd be one on like Jeopardy. It's just like, yeah, Alex, I'll take your mom is so fat for 1,000. I'll take your mom is so poor for 500.
In this your mother's so poor joke, ducks throw bread at her. But yes, anyway, thank you for tuning in to the Deep Purple Podcast this week and hearing us insult mothers. As this airs, Mother's Day would have been yesterday, at least in the United States. I know it's a different day in England. Let's see, Mother's Day UK. What's the day in the UK? Oh, it was back in March. So we're late in the UK, but in the United States, for some bizarre reason, it's a different day, which was yesterday. So
I think it's different in some countries too, because like I think Father's Day in Italy was like last month, because they celebrated it for my brother. His kids celebrated it for.
Oh yeah, I remember.
So I think
you sent something like they sent a video to your dad or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's like in all countries, I think it's different. So here, like we honor mom on May 8th.
Yep. Or the first Sunday in May, or the second Sunday in May.
Well, this year it's May 8th.
Yeah, yeah. It's like there's some.
Oh,
It's like the first or second Sunday in May. It must be the second Sunday in May because it's the
yeah,
8th.
something like that.
And then
Yeah,
Father's Day is like the third Sunday in June or something like that.
it's usually
Um,
June 16th, I think.
I never know when Father's Day is. I end up like working, and then I'm like, oh yeah, it's Father's Day today, and I forget. And I'm usually working, so hooray,
Mm.
hooray for me. Um, but yes, if there are any mothers out there that listen to the show, happy Mother's Day to you. If you have a mother, happy Mother's Day to her. And if you know, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers in your life that you know and are related to and everything. We really appreciate it.
And if any
Um,
of them are overweight, stupid, or poor, we apologize.
or all of the above. So yes, if you want to help support this show and support our love for mothers, you can do so a number of ways. You can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It's been a while, folks. If you're listening and you're like, oh, I meant to do that, do it. Write us a review so we can bring out the flexitone and put it in. It's starting to. Oh, I hope it still works when I activate this thing. The beaters might be rusty. It might not actually make noise.
Now blow that dust off.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get some WD-40, grease that up for the next time that somebody is willing to write us a 5-star review. You can also buy merch at our Etsy store. You can become a patron on Patreon or on PayPal for as little as $1 a month. You can help support the show and this gains you access into our new patron exclusive Discord channel. So if you're familiar with Discord, then become a patron. You can join in the chat. If you are not familiar with Discord, it's basically it's you can use it as a website or an app on your phone. It's a little basically private message server where you can chat, and there's different channels and things to talk about. It's actually I've been toying with it for a while, and one of our new patrons John was like, you should set that up, and I was like, yeah, I guess I should. It doesn't cost anything. And I set it up, and boom, it just exploded. There's just so many people in there talking about it every time. My favorite thing is every time there's a Deep Purple related song that comes on Sirius XM, Peter Gardeau just enters. He's like, they're playing this right now on Sirius XM. It was just yesterday. It was like they're playing "Busting Out for Rosie" on Sirius XM Deep Tracks right now.
Wow, that is deep.
Yeah, the songs that he's letting us know they're playing is just like, wow. Like I'm tempted to get a Sirius XM account just to hear some of these deep tracks from Deep Purple. Even though I have all of them. But yeah, check it out. If you want to join our in the patron only Discord, please join us. And then the last way is you can donate on Cash App using $DPPOD DP Pod on Cash App. You can send us money that way. No one has done it yet. You know what? Hey, I might even break out the flexitone if somebody decides to do that. But you don't have to. Okay. So speaking of patrons, heyo,
Hi-yo.
we have a patron upgrade. Mr. Gerald Kelly upgrading to the $15 tier. Oh, what did he want it to be called? I gotta look up the email for him because we talked about what he wanted to call the tier, and I forgot to write it down. So let's see. What did he say? I think he had 2 options. He said let's call it the Light in the Black tier. I like that. Give some love to that song. 5-star song if I've ever heard one. All right. So thank you, Gerald, for upgrading to the $15 tier. Really appreciate it. Then we get to thank our executive level patrons. Coming in at the $25 Uncommon Man tier, we have Ovis Nakvi. At the $21.12 Long Live Rock and Roll tier, Mr. Richard Fusey. At the $15 Light in the Black tier, we have Gerald Kelly. At the £10 tier, Dr. Jill Brees. At the turn it up to $11 tier, we have Clay Wambacher, Frank Teelgard Mortensen, Alan Ain't Too Proud to Beg, and Mikkel Steen. And at the $10 Someone Came tier, Ryan M., Jeff Bryce, Victor Campos, Better Call Saul Evans, and Kev Roberts, and his wonderful children, Matthew, Gareth, and Sarah. Thank you so much to all of you for donating to the show. And if you're looking for like-minded shows about bands, check out the Deep Dive Podcast Network, deepdivepodcastnetwork.com. For more shows. We got shows about Skynyrd. We got shows about Sabbath. We got shows about Queen. We got shows about Uriah Heep, about Hawkwind, about Iron Maiden, Ozzy. Who am I missing?
Aerosmith.
Judas Priest, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Van Halen, Aerosmith. I think that's all of them. So,
Nate's out of breath.
I am out of breath. Yeah, so check it out. All right. So this week, John, what have we decided? What have we gotten ourselves into this week? What are we doing?
Oh boy, we're interviewing our moms.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah, this will be interesting.
Yes. Looking forward to it. We're gonna have our moms on the show, and we're not just gonna interview them. What are we gonna do for them?
We're gonna play. We each chosen a song by Deep Purple, not from the family. I think we discussed whether we were gonna, reach out far or not, but we just decided to make it Deep Purple proper, and play a song that we each think that they would like. And just like our review episodes, we just play it and talk over it, and do some commentary or whatever, and see how that goes. And then in the interest of our sanity, we decided, like, let's not have our moms on at the same time. Let's do them one at the time. And yeah, that's what we're doing. So you guys are gonna meet the women that raised us, these two fine gentlemen that you come to listen to every week.
If you're wondering, how did Nate and John grow up to be such fine gentlemen? Well, it's because of the wonderful women that raised us, and maybe our dads to some lesser degree. They get about 10% of the credit, right?
Well, we'll give them more credit during the Deep Purple podcast
We'll
Father's Day
we'll flip
special.
the ratio. For Father's Day, only Father's Day, they'll get the lion's share of the credit. But for the other 364 days of the year, it goes rightfully to moms.
Mhm.
All right. Well, with that, should we see if our first mom is available?
Let's do that.
All right. Okay, we are joined now by none other than John's mom. Tony, how are you doing?
Hi, everybody out there. Good to see you again, Nate. It's been a long time.
It's been a very long time. Thank you. And
Yeah.
I've said it on the show before, but the first time I met you, when I don't know, was 14 or whatever, you said, the first time we met, you said, "Call me mom." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
This is, I like John's mom. Very comfortable.
That's great. Mom and pops.
Exactly.
She still says it. She still
Yeah.
says it.
That's right. Mom and pops. I know. And I put a lot of miles going out to Mount St. Charles back in those days.
Yes, you did. And yeah, right in my I didn't, because, well, I didn't go there. My cousin went there, but I knew all of those folks, and it was like basically right in my backyard. So
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for joining us. We had this kooky idea for doing a Mother's Day special, and John, John or Tony, or do you want to start off? Like, why don't we hear a little bit about what John was like as a young musician, a young music aficionado? We got to hear some stories.
Well, gosh, it started when he could first stand. And he was about a year and a half. And he'd get in front of the record player. And my husband loved Peter Frampton. Loved him. And Johnny would just stand in front of the record player with, I don't know, John, maybe a 1.5 or 2. And he'd say, the Frampton. And he'd swing back and forth. So really, he had it in his blood from the time that he was just a little guy.
Look at that.
Yeah.
He just told us recently about the Frampton on the show.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
See, and I didn't plant that story ahead of time. She remembered.
Oh my goodness, that's right. Yeah, so that validates everything. Absolutely.
So what about your music? Like, what sorts of music do you like to listen to?
What do I? My husband John is Pops is really the big music lover. I am like more into like listening to Christian music, and because I was a choir member and all that for like 40 years, so quite different from what John's interests are, for sure. For sure. Oh, I love listening though to Italian music. Like Andrea Bocelli and that sort of thing. That's probably where, and like light jazz. That's a
Mhm.
far cry from what you guys like, isn't it?
Yeah, but we like all sorts of stuff. But I mean, the stuff that I prefer is a lot different. I mean, the stuff that I listen to on regularly, but I wouldn't discount what you like to listen to, being liking music though, Ma, because you I mean, you were part of the choir, but you were also a solo singer in church for a while.
Yeah, no, that's right. 38, 40 years for a long time. So that was kind of like my first choice of music. And even like Christian, not really rock, more, easy listening type of music. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So you wouldn't
And
describe the kind of music coming from John's bedroom as a teenager as being easy listening?
something, no, actually, what was most interesting about John when he was a teenager were the posters in his room. I don't know if he ever shared the decor that was in his room.
Oh, I mean, I remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's right. It was like wallpaper of posters. And I don't know if he, recollects, and I'm sure he does. One day, Pops went in and he said, "That's it, had it." And he made him take all the posters down. And so I don't know, John, did you maybe wait 1, 2, 3 days? I can't remember. And all of a sudden, one poster went up. And then the next day, there was the second poster up. Well, before you know it, all the posters were back up in the room.
Played the long game.
Yeah, it's like the story they say, if if you put a frog in cold water and slightly raise the temperature, you can boil the frog. Well, if you
That's
slowly, just one by one, put the posters back up, you won't even notice.
That's absolutely. And so we kind of finally decided that we had to learn how to pick and choose our battles, and the rock posters in the bedroom wasn't going to be one of the battles.
Well, I remember I told Pops this story yesterday because there was a picture of Mike that came up from, in his old bedroom, and that picture of Ray Bork was in the background.
Yes, yeah.
And he was just he said something about my posters, and I said, you remember when you used to come in and you'd be like, take those posters down? I'm like, well, how come Mike can have posters up? And he's like, because Ray Bork never bit the head off a bat. And he started laughing. He goes, did I say that?
Oh,
Like, yes,
that
you
is-
said
that's-
that.
He does have a
it's
point.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Ma never cared. She didn't see. I think she just supported Pops's whatever you wanted to do. Mom didn't seem
Yeah.
to really, like spearhead those movements.
Uh, it's kind of funny now too, because now as an adult, when I look at how, you've decorated your house and I see your Kiss posters, I mean, to me, they're stunning. I think, they really, and I can't wait until you finish doing everything in that room so you can put them back up again, because
Full
they really
circle.
look awesome. Yeah.
Well, now because I'm framing them in my own home and everything, as opposed to just having magazine clippings and stuff just like plastered to the wall, like
Yeah.
Yeah, there
You know,
probably
like it's
weren't
a-
any frames, right, on any of those posters when you were a kid.
no.
No, they were up with duct tape. Yeah.
Well, the
Yeah.
funniest part of all that too is like, if you remember, like everything was like plastered, and then like right above the doorway to my bedroom was this little like cross with Jesus on it. Like Mom made sure that stayed there.
It was protecting
Well,
the
yeah,
room.
absolutely. I mean, he was blessing everything. He was looking over the whole and shaking his head and says, "Ma, just let it go. They're posters. Let it go." I know you gotta love it. Oh, well, actually, I saved myself the other day. There was an Ozzy picture of the poster. John, how far back did that poster go?
Well, there was
Ozzy?
something that I know which one you're talking about from the flood.
Yes.
So there was this thing that I picked up when I was in high school when I was thrifting things from Salvation Army, and it was a like a felt like Diary of a Madman poster. Like it was the I don't know if you've seen it, Nate. It was like the what do you call it, the what do they call it, the henchman or whatever, and he's like the who's the guy, that the beheading guy. like when they would behead people, and the guy that would like
Your
pull the
mom's
thing. She's
Well, like he used
no,
to
what
have
do they
that, like,
call him?
that like little
the-
person that Ozzy used to have. Like,
No, it's just like there'd be like the
Like the
guy that would like the
executioner?
guillotine guy, like the
The
guy that would pull the
executioner?
rope at the guillotine. Yeah, the executioner. That's it. I don't know why I
Okay.
couldn't think of it. And he's like, it's a illustration of him, and he's holding up like Ozzy's head, and like blood is dripping over, but it's an illustration, and it's on like a felt picture, so it looks like it probably came from like a carnival or something.
like a
but
Velvet Elvis sort of.
yeah,
situation?
yeah, something like that. But it was from Diary of a Madman. It was like copyright 1980 on the bottom. So when I picked it up like 20 or 30 years ago, it was an original. And, I had left it over there. And when their basement flooded, like 6 months ago or whatever,
Yeah.
it was part of that. But since it
Yeah.
wasn't paper or anything, it didn't ruin it.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, so we put it aside with all the stuff that she had saved.
Your mom's like, of
and,
all the things that got ruined in our basement, that had to be one of the things that came out unscathed.
Yeah. Well, no, but then I had put it in a secure place. I thought I couldn't remember where I put it.
Mm.
So now John comes to me. He says, "Mom, where's my Ozzy poster?" And I said, "Oh no." Well, I was in deep trouble. Let me tell you, deep trouble. But what did I don't know why. It was in my closet, but it was behind something. And so anyway, I'm back in his good graces again.
Looks
I
like we have a
found-
special. Looks like we have a special visitor there.
Pops is lurking in the
Oh,
back.
his pops. Yes.
Lurking in the back, yes.
Yeah.
But I'm leaving, so I'll be lurking no more. Is that Nate Bulger?
Yes, it
Hey,
That's
is.
me. How you doing?
Good, going. Long time.
Yeah, it's been too long.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to get you on soon.
Yeah.
This
your
is
own
the other
spotlight.
half of moms and pops. Can you turn the water on, John, for the water for the pasta? And then, of course, John has had a tremendous influence on Isabella and Katharina in music.
Oh yeah.
Right, John?
No, that's my nieces. Yeah.
Yep,
Yes, that's right. Yep, you
Well, yeah,
trained them
because-
well, John. Yep, they're future headbangers.
Well, tell them the story of what Isa did during Christmas break with the activity that she had arranged. I don't think I
Oh.
told this story.
Let me see. She, I don't know. First of all, it was like a game that she had set up. And the first part of the game was we had to come up with a name for our rock group.
Oh, okay.
And was that it, Johnny? And then each
Yeah.
one of us had to submit a suggestion for the name. And so we went through this whole review. What was the final choice for the name of our group? She remembers everything. I don't.
Was it Santo and Johnny?
Santo and John.
Which is a real group
Oh,
So-
is it really?
from like the 60s, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah, you
Well,
got enough of those two name groups. It's probably
Yeah.
We made
everyone
this
that
kind
could
of like
exist.
this was sort of an educational experience too, because we researched everything online on the computer, and she wanted something with Johnny in it, and she wanted rock and roll groups. And so, we Googled rock and roll groups with Johnny. Yes, and so Santo and Johnny was the preferred. And then she had a couple of other fun. We had to do some kind of dance routine, each one of us
Oh, yeah, yeah.
individually. Oh God, yeah. So yeah, John's had a big influence on the kids with music.
But they also like that movie. What is it? I think it was The Trolls on Tour. And so they have a like a kid-friendly version of Crazy Train. And so they got up on the step of the living room where Mike and I used to perform when we were kids like
Yep.
that. And they would like turned it on, and she had on the little toy guitar, and she was doing the Do horns, and we had like a like a light show, like I'd had that laser light thing that we plugged into the
Yes.
outlet, and both of them were like dancing around. They're like, "Come on, everybody, rock and roll!" She's going, and I'm just like, "Oh, I'm so proud."
John, let's put it this way. You're probably saying, something, Mom would never have let us do this that
Yeah.
many years ago.
Not to Crazy Train, probably.
No. No, but it's been a fun ride. And I don't know. We still have, all the CDs that you used to know, the cassette tapes.
Mhm.
I still have, I've still got those in a bin in my house. All the cassette tapes when he was in high school, the recordings that he made. I don't know. Why am I saving these things, John?
Because I want you to.
Yeah, because he doesn't have room for it and he wants to keep it at your house.
Yeah.
I'm in the doghouse though with one thing, because there were these posters that you had from when you were in high school.
Mhm.
And for the life of me, I have gone through every nook and cranny of this house, can't find them.
We're talking like a roll of like every poster that was in my room, like the Randy Rhoads tribute poster, like Kiss solo posters, like a Motley Crue Theater of Pain poster, like just everything that I would look for them recently because I'm like, oh, that'll be my theme in here. I'll just frame some of these old posters and put them up. Nope, not happening. We don't know where they went. They're nowhere in this house. And Pops and I even went into the attic a few weeks ago because I'm like, maybe they're up there. And we found like these 1987 Topps baseball cards. And
but no posters. But I found
you found that. We found
The
Life
Velvet Ozzy is
magazines
safe.
we found Life magazines from before we even lived there. That was interesting.
Really? Previous owner?
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but yeah, the Velvet Ozzy is safe, and he's back there somewhere.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to. Yeah, we're gonna need to see that at some point. Well,
Yeah.
those posters have a funny way of turning up. Like I had a similar stash at my parents' house, and every time I'd go to visit, I'd tear apart some other section, look for them. I couldn't find them. Eventually, I did. And then you find them, and then you're like, oh, good, now I have them. What am I going to do with them? It feels so triumphant, but then you're stuck with them.
Because it's the not knowing that bothers you. That's what it is.
That is
Wow.
very true. That is very true. So,
Yeah.
So John, why don't you tell us a little bit about what song you selected to play for your mom?
Here we go. Yes.
Or before that, should we ask? This might be a quick question. I know it will be with my mom. What do you know about Deep Purple?
What do I know about Deep Purple? Not very much.
Well, there you go. So John,
let's do it. Let's listen to it.
Is there anything you want to say in preparation about the song that we're about to listen to, John?
I know. I just think that I thought that my mom would like it because it has a lot of dynamics in it, and it's one of Gillan's best vocal performances. And seeing as that you were a vocalist for so many years, I figured you would appreciate that because there were some very like soft parts and some very impressive parts vocally that you would like, as well as some of the music. So
yeah, okay. Well, I'm looking forward to what's his name? Dylan?
No, Ian Gillan. Close.
Oh, Ian Dylan. Okay. Okay. Let's take a listen.
Okay, John, do you want to play just the album version, or do you want to play a live video, or what do you think?
Well, no, we didn't discuss this before. What do you have queued up?
Well, I've got a live version where it's like a live color version of them performing it. It's a bit of a long song, so I don't know if you wanted to watch it that way or just listen to the original album version.
Which version is it? The live?
Is it one they did in France or something in 1970, something like that? It's you when you see it, you'd know you've seen it a million times.
All right, well, yeah, because maybe a video would be a fun thing.
Yeah, you can comment on some of the some of the visuals. All right, here we go.
Yeah, so we're gonna watch and we talk over it.
Okay.
Put up the volume a little here.
Can everybody hear?
Yeah.
Oh, I know this one. Yeah.
This is very early on in the band's history.
See, it's got some kind of church organ in it, so I figured Mom would like it.
There you go. That's good thinking. And it does have that church organ-y sound. He's not really distorting it quite yet.
That's interesting. What is that coming from? A digital piano or?
No, it's
Yeah.
an actual organ. It's like it is like a church.
It
church
is an
organ.
organ.
Yeah.
Okay.
See the line that's drawn between the good and the bad. See the blind man, yeah, he's shooting at the world, bullets flying.
And this is Ian Gillan was the original Jesus Christ and Jesus Christ Superstar.
That's why he's got such a good voice.
See, there you go.
And you've not been here, you've not been hit by flying lead. You better close your eyes, you better bow your head.
Like, he makes a little jump at the camera. They were getting
Ritchie
very
style.
close.
He's got a big vocal range.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think so far?
Oh, and he's got perfect pitch.
Would you take him in the choir?
He's got perfect pitch. I didn't know that he was in the original of Jesus Christ Super.
Yep.
Yeah, he originated the role. Yep.
Wow. I bet he has a whistle voice too.
What's that?
Well, it gets really, it's a real high pitching ahead voice.
Yeah. Here he goes.
Yep, there it is. That's it. When did he write this? What was this, 1970s?
Yep.
This album came out in 1970, and the song would have been written probably maybe late 1969. At this point, they'd only been playing together for maybe 6 months.
You know what's kind of interesting too? You know how there are certain sort of sounds that are timeless?
Yep.
That's how this kind of hits me. I
Yep.
would have never thought that this was done in the early 70s.
Why? When would you think it was done?
It sounds, oh, well, I'll tell you, some of the stuff that's out there right now, it's garbage. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But I mean, so musically, you know, when I'm listening to the instruments and, you know, the melody line and that sort of thing, I'm like, I like it.
Yeah, I guess
Boy,
you could say
Cox
that
wishes
real
he-
music is timeless. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when you listen to 50s and 60s music, you know that, you know, it's from the 50s or the 60s, and it's nothing that, you know, is that you hear today,
Mhm.
where this doesn't strike me that way. He's a really good guitarist.
Yes, he is.
A lot of people agree.
See, John,
Yeah.
she's making a lot of the same observations you've made about timelessness.
Yeah?
It's good if John's sick one week. Well, you can help guest host.
Johnny, did you ever think that, you know, at this day and age that I'd appreciate what I really would block my ears to
No.
back in the, let me see, what, the 90s? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's something to be said of, you know, having a teenager living in your house versus having a grown child that you don't have to deal with that nonsense every day. I don't have teenagers yet, but I'm getting close, so I can only
Oh
imagine.
boy.
Well, you're ready for it.
Oops.
Oh, no. Oh, now it's gotten quiet. Let's listen.
Sweet child, in time, you'll see the line that's drawn between the good and the bad. See the blind man, yeah,
And it's pretty amazing how this is how good they are live. There's no studio trickery at all.
Yeah. No, it's just trying to get the words,
Yeah.
the line between the good and the bad.
Mhm.
and you've not been here, not been hit by flying.
What are you looking it up?
No, I'm listening to it.
Oh,
I thought she was writing it down.
Wait for the ricochet.
imagine going out every night like that, like 5 nights a week, like for a few years, belting this out.
Wow. That's gonna do a number on the vocal cords, that's for sure.
It certainly did. And now this
Needless
is
to
about,
say, they don't perform it anymore.
yeah, I mean he's turning 77 in a few months, but they're still out there.
Are they
Playing.
really? They're still touring,
Yeah.
but they're not doing this sort of thing, I would assume.
It's a little more a little more tame.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's too much on the voice.
Yes.
You know, his voice just couldn't handle doing that. Or what they have to do is play the instruments louder.
Yes. Yeah. Cover it up.
That's right. Remember, John, when we were on Nola's house and we were watching the tribute to who was
George
it?
Harrison.
To George Harrison, and Paul McCartney and Eric Clapton did a solo together, a cappella.
Oh yeah.
And I just commented about I never realized how good their voices were. They didn't need any instrumentation behind them to disguise and cover up the pitchiness, that sort of thing. And this guy's got that same kind of voice.
Yeah, they're pros for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gillan has done some stuff like during intros and stuff where it's just been him, right? Or
Yeah.
like, really stripped down.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, even the verses in this song, I mean, you can tell like he doesn't need anybody to cover him up.
Nope.
At least back then. And he was like mid 20, it wasn't even early 20s. I think he was like mid to late 20s at that point.
Yeah. Why did you pick that song, John?
Because I thought you'd like it.
Oh, okay.
Well, like I said before, is like he's a good vocalist, and I know you appreciate good vocalists, and this is like
Yes.
I think the gold standard of like his Deep Purple vocals that you would appreciate anyway. There's some other stuff, but I mean it's a lot harder edged, so figured
Yeah.
we'd skip over that.
Yeah. Where did they get the name Deep Purple?
It came from Ritchie, the guitar player. His grandmother's favorite song was the song Deep Purple, so they named it after that.
So I'm going to have to go on Google and research Deep Purple.
Or just
Because
you can listen to the last 159 episodes of our show. You'll get plenty of information. It only take you about a year to get through it.
I love it. I love it. So listen, is your mom coming on now?
Yeah, she'll come on in a few. So, yeah. I don't know. Anything else? Any other comments before we sign off?
I don't know. Yeah, this has been fun.
Well, I agree. What do you think, John?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Well, so what did you think of the song overall? I mean, it sounded like you enjoyed it.
Oh, well, if I look at it artistically, because that's not my genre for sure, but I just thought his voice was great. I loved what he was able to do with his voice because he could sing something very sweetly and softly, and then, at a drop of a hat, he was into that real guttural type of rock sound, whatever it is that you call that he did it. Really good musician. I wish I could have gotten the words more. We would, it was hard because we were talking, but sometimes I just like to hear the message, especially in the 70s, because in the 70s they were really trying to get a message across because it was the Vietnam War. And so I'm sure that there was definitely something that he was trying to say. And, I just might look, what was the name of it again? The song itself?
Child in Time.
What is it?
Child in Time
Child in Time.
by Deep Purple.
All
Yeah,
right.
and it is an anti-war song, so.
You know something, and I kind of figured, that there was something going on. And I'll listen to it and I'll get the words, kind of like Bob Dylan. Everything that Bob Dylan, wrote and sang had a big message.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to, when you analyze those lyrics, we're going to have to get you back on.
There you go. You're going to have an awful lot of fun too when you do Father's Day.
Yes, I'm sure.
This was
She's
fun.
already calling it, folks.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so
I'm
much
sorry.
thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate
Okay.
it. Oh my God, John, I got to say, your mom is a delight. What a wonderful lady.
Yeah, she interviews very well, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's really
She seemed to really like Ian Dillon.
yeah, that's my favorite. I love that I saw the look on your face. Like, I'm not going to correct you. It's fine.
We're already going. Let's just
Yeah.
let's just let her think that.
And I learned something new, and that's whistle voice.
Yep. Oh yeah. Ma threw in some vocal terms there.
Yeah. And she what she was talking about whistle voice. I was Googling it so I didn't look stupid. And then while I was Googling, you're like, what's whistle voice? Like, oh, okay, good. It's not just me. But it's showing her choir experience there,
Yeah. She's got quite a bit. One thing that I was thinking of that I didn't mention when we were on is that her greatest vocal performance was at my brother's wedding.
Oh.
Yeah, she sang they plan to do like a solo piece, and I have a cousin who's a trained vocalist as well. And I believe, my memory fails me. I believe she sang one of the first songs, but then toward the end of the church service, after, communion and everything, she went up and she sang a song. And I heard my mom sing in church like millions of times, especially when I was a kid. But I gotta say, and it was probably because of the day and everything like that. But there was I just remember there was so much emotion behind it and everything. It was wow, mom really belted it out. It was her greatest vocal performance. I think it was 2010, so it's probably didn't have a great cell phone to record it type of thing. But
oh yeah.
man, I wish that we had somebody had recorded that, because it was pretty, it was pretty good. But yeah, mom wasn't just in a choir. I mean, she sang in a choir of people, but she doesn't give herself enough credit for being a great solo vocalist too.
Oh, nice. I always used to
Yeah.
like listening to my mom sing at church. I thought she had a really nice voice. Sit there
Mm.
and listen to her sing the hymns and things like that, as I would, pretend to know what the melody was or whatever you're reading out of the book that week.
Yeah.
And then, my dad was just he'd like no, he wouldn't. I don't think he would even move his lips. Just no, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna.
Yeah.
I will.
The lip
I will
syncing thing.
stand.
Yeah.
I will stand and show my respect that way.
Yeah.
But yes, great having your mom on.
Yeah.
Been a long time since we got to chat. So before we move on, there is something we must do, and that is to, of course, thank our core level patrons. Coming in at the $7.77 keep it warm rat tier, we have Michael Vader. At the episode $6.66 tier, we have Steve Coldwell, Arthur Smith, Anton Glaving, and Mike Catan. At the $6.65 almost evil tier, we have Kenny Wymore. At the $5.99 nice price tier, we have Fielding Fowler, Robert Smith, Peter from Illinois, Michael Bagford. At the $5 money lender tier, we have John Convery, German Heindel, Adrian Hernandez, Jesper Elman, Alexi the Perfect Stranger Slepikoff, James North, Mark Hodgetts, Will Porter, Swapper the Electric Alchemist, and Tim Southern Cross Johnson. Thank you so much for all of your generous support. Usually I take a big breath, but I just didn't have the breath. I've been kind of sick all week. Like the second we stopped recording last week, I just started feeling sick, and then I was like sick the next day, and just I was working late every day at work, and I was sick every day, and just I'm like just now starting to get over it. So I think I needed more of a big breath than normal. Just been feeling lousy. Took a COVID test. Apparently it's not COVID, but I think just some other. I feel like I've been sick for a straight month. So there you go. Yes, big thank you to all of our patrons. Really appreciate everything that you do for the show. Really great stuff. So what else we got going on? Yeah, and if any of you patrons want access to the exclusive patrons only Discord, and you should have all gotten an email or a message through Patreon. So yeah, by now that link is probably expired. Just shoot me an email, or shoot, info@deepurplepodcast.com or nate@deepurplepodcast.com, and we'll just send you a new link to join the Discord. Although we got quite a few people in it so far. All right, John, I believe I hear another mother knocking at the Zoom door. Should we let her in?
Let's do that.
All right. Okay. So now we are joined by none other than my mom. Should I just call you Mom?
Sure.
Seems weird to call you something else.
Uh,
What should John call you?
He can call me Mom too, but his own mom might not like that.
Well, it's funny. I was just telling his mom that the first time I remember I ever went to his house, the first thing his mom said to me was, "You can call me Mom." So you can repay the favor. You were about 30 years later than her, but you can you can repay the favor and call her Mom.
I always felt like a mom to all your friends.
That's they were over enough, right?
Yes.
We pretty much lived there in a makeshift converted recording studio.
Yeah, Dad and I were just talking about it the other day about how we enjoyed that you always had your friends over, and that we knew that you were all safe and not doing crazy things.
Yeah, that's true. We were kind of in that respect, we were kind of boring kids, right, John? We didn't really get into much trouble.
That's right.
No, that's the very mom answer. Is that she knew, always happy to have everybody over because we were safe. It kind of blows my mind that you let us go over and just be in the second story of the house and make all that racket all the time and never seem to mind.
I only recall one time where Nate was recording something with Paul Hughes, and I said, "You guys have got to take a break. I can't take it anymore."
I know exactly what song that was too. You probably still have it ringing in your ears. It was an a cappella song with about 8 different tracks of me and Paul singing. Yeah, it was great.
That's funny. It wasn't even a full band. It was just you guys being really annoying for hours on end.
We were up there with full doing heavy metal music with a full drum set and everything. Didn't bother my parents, but me and Paul doing a cappella for an afternoon almost killed my mom. The only time I remember you ever complaining.
I know. I didn't mind really.
So what are some early memories you have then of me and music? Like, do you have any early music, like early memories?
Yeah, like baby
Ooh.
Nate,
Or maybe a little older than
Oh.
that, but yeah, baby to
toddler Nate.
baby to toddler.
I hope I'm not going to be a really boring interview, but I don't really have very early memories of you with music, except the usual stuff that all kids have when you do, the nursery rhyme type music.
What about any radio hits that I liked when I was a kid? Like any songs on the radio? What were my favorite songs?
Let's see. Oh boy. I should have gotten these questions ahead of time.
Well, I didn't have the questions ahead of time. I'm just coming up with them now.
Early music. I mean, it's not about you, but I remember going to the beach or somewhere with the Gillettes, with Jack and Sue, and Jack is standing up in the front of the van because kids stood up in cars in those days. They didn't sit in the car seat.
In the front seat, yeah.
In the front seat.
Oh my
And
goodness.
he was singing all the way, like for an hour. Another one fights the dust. 'Cause he didn't know the real words.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And a bit later, there was that song "Rock Onto the Electric Avenue."
Mhm.
Oh yeah, yep.
And you and Natalie didn't know the real words. You were calling it "Trick Baganoop."
That's right.
That was kind of early, like
Yep.
before you could read. So
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's good.
probably. Yeah, Trick Baganoop. I've heard Trick Baganoop a few times, and
oh yeah,
that was a great. It still is a great song.
yeah.
Eddie Grant.
Now how about Nate how about teenage Nate with all the posters and the instruments all over the place?
Well, Nate was a really good kid, and he and his friends were always a pleasure to have around or chat with. But when Nate finally moved out and went to live in an apartment with his friends, it took his father and I like 3 days to get all the tape off his walls, because he had taped about 1,000 million things to his ceiling, his walls, the doors, everywhere, and used any kind of tape that was available at the time, electrical tape, all kinds of like masking tape. It was everywhere. So
Oh,
we had
boy.
a lot of use of that glue gun to get that stuff off the walls.
Yeah, it was very indelicately done. It wasn't like double-sided poster removable
Oh,
tape. It was
no,
like that
no.
that clear packing tape was my primary method.
Oh man.
Yes.
And now I have a big bin of all of those posters just in a bin, all saved. And
Wow, I didn't know that you saved them.
yeah, I've got, well, you know what? I think I took the posters. What I probably did was take the posters down, but left the tape for you guys.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
I wanted to make sure you remembered me.
Typical selfish kid move.
Exactly. Okay, I got everything I need. Now I'm out of here. Yeah.
Weeks later, we'd walk into that room and from the angle, we'd see some more tape up there that we had missed.
If the sun was in a different position, it would catch it just right, and you'd see the gleam off the
exactly. So funny.
So what sorts of music were you into as a kid, and what, like, any interesting concerts and things like that?
Well, as a kid, a teen, we didn't go to a lot of concerts because we had no money, exactly zero money. But I did go to the old Rhode Island Auditorium, which isn't there anymore, on North Main Street, and I saw Peter, Paul, and Mary there.
Oh,
that was good. And I went on a date one time, but with a different guy, not your father.
not with my dad.
And we went to see the Four Seasons at PC.
Oh, nice.
Oh my goodness, I'm getting some kind of message. Hold on one sec. I gotta try to get rid of this thing that popped up on my screen. Okay. We went to see that. And what else did well, one time a bunch of girls went to see, was it Joni Mitchell at the Civic Center, but it was such a bad concert. We didn't recognize any of the music. And it was really a rowdy crowd.
At Joni Mitchell show, really? They're
I don't
getting-
know why it would be. It was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that's unexpected.
We ended up leaving after about a half an hour.
Oh, she wasn't
trying
playing
to
any of
think
her
of-
old hits.
Oh, you know, an interesting thing is, when I was still in high school, I went to see the Rolling Stones in Providence.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and the concert, after about 2 or 3 songs, the crowd was so crazy that they shut down the show. And
Oh,
then
really?
then the crowd really went wild. I mean, there was almost rioting.
My
So like
goodness.
we hurried up and got out of there because it was scary. But it was like, I don't think they knew how to deal with it. It was like 1964 or something. And
Wow.
I don't think they knew how to deal with like crowds that were jumping up and down and screaming, girls and all this stuff. And they shut it down, which made it even worse.
It seems like a rookie move. Hey, this rock crowd is getting a little rowdy. Let's tell the band to stop playing. That should make everything fine.
I know that made everything not very fine.
Wow.
But I mean, I'm kind of glad that I got to go to it,
Yeah, you got to see the Stones play a few songs.
play a few songs. Yeah. I
In
mean,
the early days.
we barely knew who they were at that time, but
You're like, wow, this new band of English gentlemen.
pretty
We'll see them."
exciting.
Did you see the Beatles at some point?
I never saw the Beatles. No, Dottie Mandu saw the Beatles.
Oh, maybe
no.
that's who I'm
Yeah,
thinking of.
she's even going to see Paul McCartney when he's up here, coming up soon.
I bet.
Yeah.
That is a good family friend and also my first grade teacher.
Right. And
Yes.
she's going to Paul McCartney and Ringo like 1 week after each other.
Really? You think they should line things up?
Yeah, I
How many more
know.
opportunities would they have to play together?
Yeah, I mean, the tickets were like a mortgage payment, I'm
Oh
sure.
God, I can only imagine. Yeah, it's got to be like $500 a ticket.
Yeah, I'm
easy
sure.
for not so
Yikes.
great seats.
Right.
Hmm.
I'd
Hmm.
rather just play the music instead of paying all that money to not see him,
Yeah,
just
well,
hear him.
they'll project them on a TV for you that you can watch. There'll
We've
be a
been
big jumbotron.
We've been to see the, the tribute bands,
Mhm.
1964, and there was another one that came, and I forgot what that one was called, and they really did a good job. I mean, they come every year to the Stadium Theater.
Yeah, there's a Beatles tribute. I think it's called American English
Yeah, we
play
didn't see that one.
around here, and they've got all the costumes, and the bass player plays with left-handed, even though you can tell he's not left-handed. He's just trained himself to play left-handed. That's
Oh, yeah.
dedication.
Yeah, that is.
But yeah, they do all the costume. They do, I think, 3
Wow.
costume changes throughout. They go through like chronologically through all of the songs. It's. I mean, and they're not the only band like that. There's a ton of bands like
Yeah.
that, and they have like there's like, they frown if there's a band where Paul McCartney's playing a right-handed bass. They're like, "Pff, like amateurs. Like this is,
Oh,
They
it
had
has
a-
to be a guy. It's usually a guy that's right-handed that learned how to play it left-handed, which is hard
They
to do.
they had a band like that on one of the cruises we were on. They often have bands like that on cruises, and Dottie really gave the guy at the business for playing right-handed.
Oh, did you?
She actually told him he shouldn't be doing that.
She's like, what are you doing? You're a
I-
disgrace.
I know. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't talk to the guy and tell him that.
No, that's pretty ballsy to just to
I
go up
think
to the.
they were pretty good. I mean, except for that detail, but I thought they were very good.
Yeah, you guys my parents go to a lot of shows, or used to. I don't know how many shows
Yeah,
are
we
around these
haven't
days,
been
but,
to any since COVID, 0.
yeah.
But
Mm.
we've been to the Queen tribute twice. We've been to Pink Floyd a couple times. The Eagles, we've been to Simon and Garfunkel. They had a good one of that. So all these different tributes they have at the stadium are pretty high quality ones. They're not,
Oh, yeah.
they're good ones.
Yeah, and the stadium is like a big theater in the
Yeah,
town
it's 1,100 seats.
that we grew up, and
So-
it's like an old fashioned. You've been to the stadium, right, John?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that was the place where we used to go to see movies when they came out. It's very
Right.
old. When was it built? Probably in the 1800s.
no, I think the maybe the 20s or so,
Okay.
but
Yeah, and
it's all renovated, so it looks great inside, and they have, some really good shows. But we haven't been to any shows in a long time now.
yeah, sadly.
Yeah.
So what would you say are some of your favorite bands or some of your favorite music?
Well, I of course the Beatles, they're always really up there. And I'm a really big Eagles fan.
Mhm.
I've, watched a documentary on them a few times. And what else? Nowadays, pretty more like individual performers than bands.
Mhm.
That there doesn't seem to be as many bands these days as there were. They're like, individual people that, like Taylor Swift or one of those people that
Yeah,
perform on their own. And I like a lot of those, but I'm still, really back in the 60s. That when you're young, it's your favorite music.
Yeah.
It kind of stays as your favorite music forever, even though it's 50 years ago or something.
Yeah,
So
well, we grew up on a lot of that same music too, being
Yeah.
retro kids.
That's true. So I still like a lot of 60s and 70s music when we were, we're a young couple.
So we asked John's mom this, so we're gonna ask you too. What do you know about Deep Purple?
Honestly, I have to say very, very little. I mean, I've heard of Deep Purple. I know, I've heard a couple of the songs. I'm sure I've heard more of them than I know. I might not have known it was even them, but I don't know much about them. I really don't. I know a couple of the names of the people because you get mail for them here.
Yeah, you know the bass player of Deep Purple very well.
I know him. I get his mail.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're all our friend when we met him a couple months ago was almost told him about that that my parents are still getting mail with him, but he opted not to. But yeah, you know the Jesus Christ Superstar connection, right?
Not exactly, no.
Yeah.
I know
So the Jesus and Jesus Christ Superstar is Ian Gillan, who's the lead singer of Deep Purple.
Okay. I
Um,
gotcha.
So you've heard him a bunch. You probably heard that more than
Yeah, I think I've heard that quite a few times, and went to see the play and so forth.
Yep. And that you heard coming from my room as well. You probably heard a bunch of this stuff coming from my room at some point.
I'm sure,
But-
yeah.
So I picked a song to play for you from Deep Purple. It does not feature Ian Gillan. He was not a ton of stuff from the band when he's not in it, but this album it was an album that was right after he left and before he returned later on. And he's still in the band now. That's who we saw a couple months ago, and he's going to be 77 in August.
Wow.
And still touring.
Good for him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we always try to imagine our parents on stage when we're talking about them live.
My God.
imagine you guys on stage.
Yeah, it's impossible. Like my dad would go up there and just like read the paper. Like, I'm not doing this tonight.
And he'd nod off like halfway through. So. All right, so the song that I chose so there's probably songs like Deep Purple related songs by people who were in the band that I think you'd really, really like. But this is a kind of a funkier song. I know you used to like listen to like Earth, Wind and Fire, I remember, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that, but I mean, we did listen to it.
All right, so maybe I'm off on that one.
Is that why you picked this one? Because you thought she liked the funkier stuff?
Yeah, so that's what I thought. We'll see.
Oh.
But this one is by one of the lineups where they had two singers. So I'm gonna play this from a 1974 album, 75 album, 75 album, Stormbringer. So here, the song's called "You Can't Do It Right." So this is a little bit more funky than their normal hard rock stuff that they do.
Yeah, it's good.
Oop, is that breaking up for you a little bit?
It
Little.
is, yeah.
So what do you think
So
of this
what do-
kind of 70s
yeah.
style?
Good. It sounds like the era, that era.
And this is one you would definitely not have heard.
No.
It's not a lineup that ever got played on the radio, really. Or at least not by us. This is kind of John and I's favorite era of the band, where most other people that listen to the band kind of frown upon
Oh, really?
this stuff.
Why did they frown upon it?
Well, I think the lineup with Ian Gillan is really considered the classic lineup, and people just generally don't give this lineup the same amount of respect.
Well, probably because it wasn't as much as a straight ahead hard rock as the first few albums.
Yeah,
And this is a little more experimental, a little more funky. Damn
so
funky.
people more into like the straight ahead rock than the kind of funkiness. In fact, so much that the guitar player himself hated it and left the band after this because he couldn't take it. Luckily, our audio listeners will not hear any of these glitches, but our YouTube folks might hear some glitching on that one.
Hmm.
So that's an intro to the funky version of Deep Purple,
Okay.
which you probably heard passively coming from my room at some point, many times probably without really paying any attention because there was
That's
lots of
true.
racket coming from my room at
Well,
various times.
I don't think you played it that overly loud.
No, yeah, that's another thing that kind of makes me boring. I like to, like Jen always gives me a hard time because I like to listen to things that are. I say I like to listen to music at a reasonable volume.
Yeah, so coming from
Oh.
upstairs, it really didn't hear it that much.
Yeah, I don't like blasting music. I like listening to it at a reasonable volume.
Yeah, me too.
Even when I was 15, and should have been more rock. And John's rolling his eyes.
Boring. What kind of rebellious teenager were you, Nate?
Not
I
a
know.
Not
very,
at all.
not much of a one.
A poor one. Yeah, I was a very bad rebellious teenager.
Much to your delight, I'm sure.
Oh, yes. We were very happy with Nate. He was a good kid.
He was a good boy.
He was a good boy.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, at least I didn't. Yeah, give you. I might have kept you up all night when I was a baby with
Oh,
colic,
yeah.
but I made it up for you in my teenage years, I guess.
That's right.
Well-
I sometimes wish I could go back for just one more day when you were a little boy.
Until I started crying.
Yeah,
And you'd be like,
right.
okay, back to the present. All right. Well, there you go. That's your little Deep Purple crash course. And you got a little we went easy on you. John's mom. John picked a longer song for his mother, so
Oh,
probably 3 times the length of that one.
Yeah, but hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
well, I enjoyed it. It was very good.
There you go. There you go. Now I know what to get you for Mother's Day, a copy of that album.
Okay.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess with that we will bid you adieu. Wish you a happy Mother's Day.
Thank you very
Which
much.
when this airs, it'll be a little bit behind us, but thanks for joining us on your first ever guest slot on the Deep Purple podcast.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It was fun.
Okay, another fine mom on the show. We're very lucky. We're lucky we got such great moms and dads.
Yeah, I learned you were a boring kid. She's like, Nate, he's such a nice young man.
Little did she know all the mischief I was getting up to. I mean, literally could not have. The only mischief I could have gotten up to was in my room with you and
really,
Paul and all those guys.
The one thing we found out, the one scandalous thing we found out from Nate's mom is that Nate was a delight as a child and a teenager.
I don't know if I'd go as far as saying delight, but I definitely didn't get into trouble.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the cool thing is, I mean, you and I were very similar, and Paul, the three of us in particular, were very similar in that we were creative and we did lots of creative stuff and we're into like art and making music. So we weren't like into going out and doing crap like that. We were just like, let's go record an album. Let's write songs together. And
I think that made it easy on our parents. I feel like we weren't, very rebellious. We were just like you said, very creative. So we kind of channeled that energy into actually doing something. And we would like, if there was any noise coming from up there, it would just be us being like, hey, look at us. I'm drunk. We'd be like making fun of people that would do that shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think, that's I mean, I guess like, both of our families and the way we grew up, we're very lucky and very fortunate. And I don't think we had much to rebel against, like we had the normal like teenager parent things like, okay, dad, or whatever, like, but there was, there wasn't anything like serious. It was just like, oh, my parents, and then, like that was it. It wasn't like, screw you, dad, I'm leaving, like I'm going right now to get a tattoo and drink some whiskey and I'm 15 or whatever, none of that. Like we were just, there was not much to rebel against.
Yeah, I mean, it was I think that the company that we kept too, I think we're lucky enough to, hang around with, not only come from like a good background, but we just had friends that were with similar interests. And I know that we had some that like in the periphery that like to do that kind of stuff, but we were really more, I mean, I can only speak for myself. I saved that until later in life.
Yeah. I think I started drinking when I was like 20 and like, which in America is against the law. You have to be 21, which is ridiculous. But I think I was like, 5-6 months away from turning 21, and I started, and it was mostly because I was going to culinary school and I was learning about like the history. This is how freaking boring I am. I'm like taking like the school I went to for culinary arts was had a special like permission from the state where you could drink underage there. Like it was legal. So they would serve us wine with dinner and we would taste it and talk about it and all that. So I literally started getting interested in wine like towards the end of like being 19 and then going into 20. And I was like reading about wine, and then you're learning about it. And then I'm working in restaurants and I'm getting really interested in it. So of course, then you're like, well, I want to know what this tastes like, and actually start drinking it. And then from there, I started getting interested in spirits and beer and all that sort of stuff. So it was like literally like through my scholastic endeavors, I became interested in alcohol.
Intellectual curiosity. Yeah.
When most people say I started drinking in college, they don't really mean it that way. But but then I got really interested in it, and it was a lot of fun learning about it. And like I go to school and I could drink at school. It was really weird. But then had a small little time when you have a few more drinks than that. But yeah, I was usually one that was just like, oh, I feel really bad. That effect started hitting me really early. And when I talk to my friends now that drink like heavily, I'm just like, I don't even understand how you can do it, because if sometimes I have one beer and the next day I'm like, oh, I don't get drunk, and I just get the hangover.
Well, and then there's me, who works all day, takes a flight after work to Illinois, goes to your house, polishes off a bottle of wine, and then records an episode drunk.
And passes up and wakes up the next morning feeling better than I do, which is not fair.
Well, it's like I said, waited till later in life. So it's like, yeah, I didn't drink to rebel when I was a teenager. I just drank because the pressures of life crushed me into like needing to self-medicate.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the only thing keeping me going is that glass of wine after work or whatever it is.
No, actually, you happen to have like a couple of bottles of like a wine that I really enjoyed. So I was like, yeah, pour it up, baby.
19 Crimes.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I know it's one of the few commercial like widely produced wines that I enjoy. But man, it's good.
Oh yeah, it's good, and it's inexpensive. That's why I like
yes.
That's what I really like about it is, it's a $9 bottle of wine, and it's very tasty.
Yeah.
In fact, I just had some last night, or as we record this, it was Easter yesterday. It's snowing today, which is freaking annoying. So yeah, I had a nice little bottle of a nice little a glass of wine with dinner. It was great.
Nice little bottle with dinner.
Oh, yeah, a little bottle and five, 6 glasses of wine.
My parents had about I want to say 10 people. They invited 10 people over aside from us, so we're like 10 or 12 people. But they said like, oh, make sure everybody bring a bottle of wine.
See, now you get 10 bottles of wine.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing is like I'm like, nobody's gonna drink this much, right? So they already had like half a dozen bottles out, and that like I didn't bring anything because of that, because I'm like, I already know everybody's gonna. So even one of my aunt and uncle come in, 2 or 3 bottles of wine. My cousin and his girlfriend come in, 2 bottles of wine. It's like it kept multiplying, and by the time everything left, I looked over at the table and I was just like, you guys got enough wine for the next like 6 weeks right here.
Yeah, that's your cover charge right there. Yeah, you just
exactly
your bar back up with it. And what you learned something about your aunt and uncle at Easter dinner, and that you texted me about. And what was that?
Oh, that's right. I almost forgot. So I'm talking to my aunt, and I can't even remember how did I tell you how the conversation even started?
No, you just texted me, or like just told me the info, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. So apparently, like my aunt saw Deep Purple in Providence, and based on the time that she gave me, the time frame, I feel like she saw Mark III or Mark IV, which was pretty impressive because she couldn't remember any of it. She was just like, oh, I saw them when I was in high school. My aunt's like in her early 60s now, so I mean, based on that, like, of course, we both went online to look to see when they were at the Providence Civic Center, and you came up with like it was 84, and then before that it was 76, and then 70.
Yeah, they played in 72, 73, 74, so it would have been Mark II, Mark III, then 76, Mark IV, and then they didn't play again until 85.
Right. So based on how old she is, I was just like, well, it was either like when I was born or before I was born, or like in the 80s. And she goes, well, it definitely wasn't in the 80s, because she said I was in high school. I said, okay, so it was mid to late 70s. So my best guess is Mark III or IV, which I think is pretty damn cool.
She would have seen something right along the lines of The Wings of a Russian Fox Bat.
Probably,
that would have been the style show, potentially, unless it was a little earlier than that.
But I mean, the unfortunate part of that is one of those where, she didn't really care I guess,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
it was just, you know, so she was like,
Didn't
doesn't
care,
remember.
didn't remember anything. You're like, oh, you saw Tommy Bolin live. You saw one of the last Deep Purple shows of the 70s.
Right. Yeah. It's one of those where it wasn't like one of my favorite bands. She's like, oh, I can't remember. I don't even know who I went with. And it's like, oh man, like,
Did you hear a lot of whoop? Whoop?
So yeah, pretty cool fact that I found out yesterday.
Yeah, that was exciting to be texting about that. Like,
Mhm.
my you know, we're like at Easter dinner and I'm like, the kids are like asking me questions. I'm like, shh, this is important stuff going on right now. Gotta figure out when John's on saw Deep Purple. Oh boy. So with that, we of course, before we end the show, have to do one of the most important things we do. And that is to thank our foundation level patrons. Coming in at the $3.33 halfway to evil tier, we have Raf Calf. At the $3 nobody's perfect tier, we have Peter Gardot, Ian DeRosier, Mark Roback, Duncan Leask, Stuart McCord, Flight of the Rat-Bat Blue Light, Ivan Fjellbu. It's a great life if you know we can. And Runar Simonson. It's a great life if you know we can. Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support. And then, oh, you know what? I think I still have John Kynes here. I think, did I not? Oh, I didn't thank John Kynes earlier. I have to turn it up to $11 tier. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, John. Well, I'm putting you up there right now so that we don't mess that up next week. So thank you, John, for your support of the show and your support of the Patreon, the Discord. Much enjoyed conversations going on there. Then at the $1 made up name tier, we have the mother of all drippy tombs, Leaky Mausoleum, Stephen Somerville, the Concerto 1999 fanatic, Spike the Rock Cat, JJ Stenard, Hank the Tank, Private Eyes, Ashen Lionel, Spike's mom in interest of Mother's Day, and Blackmore's Tights. Thank you so much to all of you for your generous support of the Deep Purple podcast. We could not and would not do it without you. So that's it. Mother's Day, another Mother's Day in the bag, John.
Another Mother's Day in the, it's like, I don't know what that sounds like. It sounds like way more like accomplished than, well, actually we did accomplish something. We got our moms to figure out how to call into the podcast.
That's right. Now they're going to do it all the time. We'll be in the middle of the show. Ding, ding. Oh. Could you admit Tony Mottola?
I think like for the only thing that anybody listening, the one thing that should make you go to the YouTube video this week is during my mom's interview, just seeing my dad's head pop up in the background, just lurking there while she's talking. And then we noticed it and we're like, oh boy, he's gonna come in.
He's just wandering around. It was great.
But did you see him? He was like this big and he's in the corner of the screen. It's like he just popped up out of nowhere because he's like, what's going on in there?
He's putting on a hoodie. That's great.
There was that. And I would say like, you know, I thought that my mother had some very interesting commentary about just kind of the vocal kind of vocal terms she was talking about, and even like really being interested in what the lyrics and the message of the song were. So she had a kind of interesting take on it. I don't know. I guess the you know, that was we didn't get as much feedback from your mom.
Well, probably because unfortunately the song was breaking up most of the time.
Yeah, but it's also you also picked a song that was like I mean, just a couple of years removed from kind of like, you know, that those lyrics that kind of like had that meaning to it, whereas like the song you picked was more about you know, the topic was more about you know, relationships and
it was just boogieing down sort of thing.
Yeah, but I thought that it was interesting to see both of their reactions. You know, it's just like, I feel like when we were like, were you ever like a kid and you're just like, hey mom, look at my thing I'm interested in. They're just like, okay, and then they humor you, you know. It's like, so like, I was like,
dear, that's nice. Yeah, like I do with my kids all the time. Check this out, Dad.
Yeah, you're like, great, look, Mom, watch me.
Check this score I got in this video game. It's like, without any frame of reference, good job. Can't
like, all right, is 10 million good, or is like, no, it sucks.
For all I know, he's like the greatest player of that game in the history of the world, but I would never know. Well, that was fun.
lot of
That was
fun.
fun. We'll have to
Yes.
get them on next time. Branch out from Deep Purple, because I could think of a lot of songs that I think that my mom would like, not in the Deep Purple direct,
Mhm.
as a direct Deep Purple song.
Yeah.
All right, John. Well, we'll see you again next week when we cover the topic of who knows. It could be anything.
Literally.
Yep, it's a cliffhanger for you folks. Now you have to tune in next week. And you have to write us a 5-star review and get the Flexitone and become a patron. Thank you, everybody.
Peace out, mothers.
Peace out, all you mothers.
Peace out, you mothers.
You mother lovers out there.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Purple Podcast. If you like what you hear and would like more episodes in the future, please donate on Patreon to support the show. You can also leave us a review in Apple Podcasts to help new people discover the show. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for show updates. See deeppurplepodcast.com for more details. Thank you for listening.